Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Saturday, February the 20th. Going to run through Saturday's pretty short slate, just a 5-gamer, but we're going to break it down team by team, talk about what stands out to me looking at the slate the night before. I'll give you guys my early thoughts. We'll go through each team, we'll break everything down. I'll just hit on the plays that do stand out to me looking at this slate on Friday night. But before we do get started with the breakdown, guys, as always, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel here, and be sure to click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also get notified every time I do go live. I will most likely be live streaming this afternoon for tonight's slate. We do have a later lock today. Lock's at 8 o'clock Eastern time, so I'll probably push the stream back an hour, probably stream around 5 o'clock Eastern. So if you're free, around that time, I'll be streaming on my YouTube channel. We'll be breaking down the slate again. I'll be able to answer all you guys' questions. We can talk through everything. If any news comes out throughout the day, we can hit on that in the live stream. So, tune into the live stream if you are able to Saturday afternoon. But yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this 5-game slate, and we will start off with the Golden State and Charlotte game. So on the Warriors side today, not a ton really stands out from this team that I love as like top plays. I think there's guys here that you can definitely mix in if you're playing multiple lineups. If I'm only playing one lineup today, which I likely am, I don't know if I'm going to get to any of these guys in my one lineup. Curry, he's always viable as a pay-up option. This doesn't really feel like a slate where I'm going to be going out of my way to pay up for Steph Curry, though. I'd prefer Dame Lillard in a better matchup. I'd prefer, Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, I think, over Curry. But Curry's always viable. Don't have a ton of interest in Kelly Oubre at his price. I know he's been playing well lately, but 6,800 feels a little bit too much for me. I think if I was going to go to anyone on Golden State, it would be Draymond Green. At 6,600, I think Draymond is still definitely viable. He didn't have a great game Friday night against Orlando. He was dealing with an injury heading up to that game. He actually wound up playing. He played 34 minutes, only had 28 DK points. I still do like Draymond here. I assume he's going to start at center once again. I think Looney and Wiseman are expected back soon, but I don't think they're going to be available for this game. So assuming Draymond's starting at center, we know the minutes are going to be there as long as it's a close game. This is a back-to-back, but I'm not too worried about that. I think we're going to get 35, 36 minutes from Draymond. At 6,600, he definitely has the upside to pay off this price tag. We've seen him, really stuffing the stat sheet lately, giving you a little bit of everything. He's my favorite guy to target from the Warriors today, but really don't love much from this team as a whole. Not really much stands out from the Warriors as, top plays today. Looking at the Hornets side, though, so with the Hornets, LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, both have been playing incredibly well lately, but both are also, pretty expensive. LaMelo Ball's almost 9K, Terry Rozier's almost 8K. I think these guys are kind of appropriately priced. I don't think they're too expensive, but LaMelo, at this price tag, I don't think he really projects as like a top option, but he obviously still has the upside to pay off this price. We've seen LaMelo put up, 50-plus DK points multiple times this year. Without Devontae Graham, we know the minutes are going to be there. He did play 39 minutes last game against San Antonio. He's going to continue to start, and I'd assume rest of season we're going to see LaMelo Ball in the starting lineup. He's just been playing too good for them to move him back to the bench. So if we're going to get 36, 38 minutes from LaMelo, he could definitely give you 50-plus DK points, especially in a pace-up spot against the Warriors. So in tournaments, I do like LaMelo Ball still. I think the upside is still there on a nightly basis. Terry Rozier, I'm a bit iffy on. I know he's been playing really well lately as well. He's been scoring a ton, 34, 41, and 33 real-life points over their last 3 games, 46, 57, 53 DK points. I don't know if we can expect this kind of production from Rozier, but it's obviously clear that he has, turned a corner this season. He's been way more aggressive. He's getting a ton of opportunity without Devontae Graham. Right now, Rozier and Ball are just doing everything for this Hornets team. Gordon Hayward's back for this game, but I don't think he's going to take too much away from those guys. I still do like LaMelo and Rozier at their price tag. I still have interest in them in tournaments. If I can only play one, I think I'd rather play LaMelo just because he's not as scoring dependent. He's someone that can, stuff the stat sheet, contribute in all categories. But outside of those two, I don't really like too much else on this Hornets team. I think Cody Zeller's appropriately priced. Obviously, Devontae Graham is doubtful, not expected to play. Gordon Hayward's expected back. He's probable. At 7,400, I think he's an okay option at that price tag, but doesn't really stand out as a top play. The cheaper options, like PJ Washington, his prices come way down to 5,300. He's been really bad lately, but at this price tag, I think the upside is still there for PJ Washington. I do like him at at this price point. He doesn't stand out as a top play, but he's, viable at 5,300. Miles Bridges, I don't have that much interest in with Hayward back, so From the Hornets for me, I think it's LaMelo, Rozier, and Washington. Those are the guys I do like most from Charlotte today. But we can go ahead and move on to the next game. So the Heat and the Lakers. Looking at the Heat side, Goran Dragic, I believe, is going to remain out today. He should be back at some point, but I'm pretty sure he's going to remain out for this game. It says right here, Dragic, who has been sidelined for Miami's last 6 games with a left ankle sprain, didn't join the Heat for their ongoing 7-game road trip. So I don't think he's with the team right now. He might be able to return at some point, but I'm assuming Dragic is going to be out once again. And with Dragic out, that's mainly going to benefit Tyler Hero and Kendrick Nunn. And we've seen both those two guys playing pretty well. Hero been better lately over Nunn. You know, starting off with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, I think in a matchup against the Lakers team, this is not a great spot for either guy. I don't think, either Jimmy or Bam stand out as top plays today in this matchup, but we know the upside these guys have, specifically Jimmy Butler. I mean, Jimmy Butler's just been playing so well lately. Had another triple-double last game against Sacramento. He's put up at least 50 DK points in 3 straight games. He's going to play a ton of minutes tonight. As long as this game is close, we should get close to 40 minutes from Jimmy Butler. So at 8,900 as a tournament option, kind of similar to LaMelo Ball, I don't think points per dollar-wise he's going to project as a top option, but he obviously has the upside to pay off this price tag. So do have interest in Jimmy. I would definitely prefer Jimmy over Bam. I think there's other centers I'd rather get to over Bam today. But Tyler Hero, I do like quite a bit. 6,300 on DK, I think is still a pretty reasonable price tag for him. And on Yahoo, he's at shooting guard over there, coming in at $22. Still really like that price tag on Tyler Hero. So without Goran Dragic, we are seeing Tyler Hero play a ton of minutes basically every night off the bench. Even coming off the bench, he's still playing over 30 minutes a night. Got 32 last game against Sacramento. Had 38 DK points. He's been scoring a ton. He's been taking a ton of shots. He's been contributing, with the peripherals as well. He did have 15 rebounds against the Warriors the other day. I don't know if we can expect that again, but Hero is a productive player. He's a high-usage player. Even playing alongside Jimmy and Bam, Hero has shown that he can still be a guy that produces. And without Dragic, I expect the minutes to be up for Hero, and we've obviously seen that with him getting, over 30 minutes basically every game that Dragic has missed lately. So really like Tyler Hero at 6,300. I think with the price coming up, that might scare some people off, but I think the upside is still definitely there. We've seen that over their last few games with Hero putting up, multiple games around 40 DK points. So do like Tyler Hero. I think Kendrick Nunn's also going to play a ton of minutes. He got 31 last game. I think most nights we're getting probably 32, 34 minutes from Kendrick Nunn. He's going to continue to start with Dragic out. I think Hero gives you more upside, so I'd probably rather get to Hero for $1,000 more. But Kendrick Nunn is definitely viable if you are looking for a point guard in that 5K range. But outside of those guys, I don't have too much interest in anyone else on Miami. Kelly Olynyk had a solid game last game, one of his first better games of the year. He did it in limited minutes, just 24 minutes, 35 DK points. I don't know if I really want to chase that game from Kelly Olynyk. We just haven't really seen much from him, even in the starting lineup. I don't think I want to chase that. I think there's other guys I'd rather get to in that price range today. So, yeah, from Miami, I think it's definitely Jimmy, Hero, and Nunn. Those are the 3 guys I like most from the Heat today. Now, on the Lakers side, we do know that Anthony Davis is going to remain out, while Dennis Schroeder is also going to be out for this game. Schroeder was a late scratch in their last game. He's going to remain out today. So, there is some beneficiaries with Schroeder out. Without Schroeder, I think, LeBron James, he's already the primary point guard for this team, but he's going to have the ball in his hands even more. He didn't have that great of a game against Brooklyn last time out on Thursday, 51 DK points in 33 minutes, but we know the upside LeBron has, especially now there's no Schroeder, there's no AD. The weight on LeBron's shoulders is just going to be even heavier. Still, though, on this slate, I think I'd rather get to some of the other studs that we're going to talk about in the late-night game. In that Portland-Washington game, I really like all the studs there, Lillard, Beal, Westbrook, so I do prefer those guys over LeBron, but I think LeBron is, one of the better pay-up options on this slate. He's pretty safe at this point. You're going to get probably 50-plus DK points from LeBron as long as the game is close, and he has 65, 70-point upside. We've seen him put up big games, so especially because, LeBron's small forward, and that's always a tough position to fill. He does stand out as a very strong option, obviously, but Kyle Kuzma at his price tag, I don't have that much interest in. 6,700, just don't think I can get there on DK. On Yahoo, though, he's a lot more affordable, so if you want to play Kuzma over there, he's only $18. I definitely like him at that price tag. But other guys that we can target from the Lakers, there really isn't much on this team. Outside of LeBron and Kuzma, everyone else is basically priced, I think, appropriately. Montrezl Harrell, he feels a little bit too cheap, but he just hasn't been getting the minutes lately. Against Minnesota with AD out, only played 18 minutes. Last game against Brooklyn, only 15 minutes. It just doesn't seem like they want to give Harrell the minutes right now. They're playing Marc Gasol, bigger minutes. We saw them run Markieff Morris at the 5 last game. Like, I think the upside is still there for Harrell, but the minutes are just all over the place right now. It's so tough to predict what his minutes are going to look like. He could play 15, he could play 25, he could play close to 30. I really have no idea. I think it's going to be matchup based. I think it's going to be, it's going to depend on how he's playing. In a matchup like this against Bam Adebayo, I feel like they're probably going to want Gasol out there over Harrell. Harrell might be a little undersized against Adebayo, so even without AD, I don't really like Harrell that much on this slate. Gasol, I just don't think he has that much upside. Even if he is getting more minutes, I still don't really want to go to him. Without Dennis Schroeder, that is going to benefit Alex Caruso. We saw Caruso get 26 minutes last game with Schroeder out, but he only had 17 DK points. I think at 3,900, he is still viable. He doesn't project as a top value play, but still someone that could give you 22, 24 DK points. He could be a solid option at his price tag. I don't mind him if you are looking for someone under 4K. THT also got more minutes. He got 28 minutes last game. I think, he's another punt option you could look to from the Lakers. But I think outside of those guys, I don't have much interest in anyone else. I don't really want to go to KCP or Wesley Matthews. Even though Wesley Matthews started last game, I don't have much interest in him. So I think from the Lakers today, it's LeBron. It's LeBron for me. Kuzma on Yahoo I do like. And then I think Alex Caruso and THT as punt options make some sense. But we can go ahead and move on to the next game, Sacramento and Chicago. So this is probably the most appealing game on the slate. It's close between this game and the Washington-Portland one. But starting off with Sacramento, there's a lot to like on this team, especially if Harrison Barnes and Rashawn Holmes remain out. We need to keep an eye on their statuses. They were both out last game. Glenn Robinson is also listed as questionable. He started in place of Harrison Barnes, played a good amount of minutes. So if he were to sit, that would just open up even more minutes. But obviously with this Kings team, it starts with De'Aaron Fox. And I think with the price tag coming down on De'Aaron Fox, this is a perfect time to buy low on him. I love him on both sides. 8K on Draftkings is just too cheap in my opinion. $37 on Yahoo. His price tag hasn't moved really there, hasn't really gone down, but I still like him a lot at $37 on Yahoo. He's been struggling lately, no doubt. We haven't really seen a good game from Fox yet, or at least over his last 3 games, he's been pretty bad. But this is a great spot for him to bounce back. This Bulls team, they play no defense. They play at a very fast pace. Both these teams both these teams I believe are top 5 in pace this year. So this should be an incredibly fast-paced game. It should be a very high-scoring game. Look at 8K, that's just too low for De'Aaron Fox. We know we're getting 36, 38 minutes from him as long as it's a close game. He's been in some blowouts lately. I think the Brooklyn game was a blowout. The Memphis game, I believe, might have been a blowout too. They've been involved in blowouts lately, which has hurt Fox, but as long as tonight's game stays close, and right now I think it has a 2-point spread, we're expecting a close game here. I love De'Aaron Fox, and I think he's just too cheap on both sides for this really good matchup. So really, really like him. Don't have a ton of interest in Buddy Hield. Even if Barnes and Holmes are out, I don't think I really want to go to Hield. Halliburton, he wasn't great off the bench last game. He did get a good amount of minutes, but only 20 DK points in 30 minutes. I don't think I really want to go to him either, but the guys I do like, especially if Barnes and Holmes are out, I think Marvin Bagley is one of the best plays on the slate once again. I like Bagley a lot last slate with Barnes and Holmes out, and even in limited minutes, even though he only played 24 minutes, he went out there and crushed, had 36 DraftKings points. Bagley, he has shown a ton of upside this season when he's gotten the minutes, but the minutes have just not been there because Luke Walton, for some reason, just does not like Marvin Bagley. But when the minutes are there, which I would assume if Barnes and Holmes remain out, I think we likely get probably close to 30 minutes from Marvin Bagley. I believe he did play at halftime. He had played 13 minutes, I think, and then he played the entire third quarter, and then he didn't check in at all in the fourth quarter. He still got 24 minutes. I think tonight, especially if Bagley, or if Holmes and Barnes are out, we probably get a few more minutes from Bagley, probably 27, 28. And if that's the case, he's too cheap at 5,400. If he's going to be playing 27, 28 minutes, Bagley's a very productive player when he is on the floor. He had his best game of the season earlier this year against the Bulls, had 46 DraftKings points in 29 minutes. I know De'Aaron Fox got hurt in that game, but that's the kind of upside Bagley has when he's getting minutes. And I think with how well he's been playing lately, Luke Walton needs to give this guy some run. He needs to give him some minutes, give him some opportunity. I'm going to have less interest if Barnes and Holmes both play, but if one of them are out, I think there will definitely be more minutes available for Marvin Bagley, which makes him a really good option. 5,400 on DK is definitely too cheap, and on Yahoo, I think he's too cheap over there as well, coming in at $16. So I do like him a good amount on both sides. Now, Nemanja Bjelica, he had a great game last game. He moved into the starting lineup with Harrison Barnes out, had 43 DK points, played 35 minutes. They started Nemanja Bjelica in place of Barnes, and then they moved Glenn Robinson in, or they moved Marvin Bagley down to center, and then they started Bjelica and Glenn Robinson. I'd assume that if Barnes and Holmes are both out again, that we probably see the same starting lineup, assuming that Glenn Robinson is able to play. So if Bielitsa starts again, I think he's a great value play as well. Obviously, this is a play that depends on news. I think Bagley is still viable even if Barnes and Holmes both play. I'd be less interested in him, but he's still viable, whereas Bielitsa, I really have no interest in if those guys are available. But if they're out again, love Bielitsa. He'd be a great value play at 4,700. He is a guy that's very productive when he does get minutes. Whiteside, he burned me last slate. He only played 15 minutes, even with Harrison Barnes and Holmes both out. I still would be fine going right back to Whiteside here if Holmes remains out. I think he's likely to get probably 20 to 22 minutes, maybe a few more. It's a great matchup against the Bulls. We saw what Embiid did to them Friday night. Like, this Bulls team just has always struggled to defend big men. Whiteside has a ton of upside here. I do have interest in him, especially if Richaun Holmes is out. So that'll be some news to keep an eye on, obviously. But I don't think there's really anything else I want to go to from Sacramento. Maybe if Glenn Robinson winds up out and they start like maybe Jeffries could be viable if he starts. He did come off the bench and play 17 minutes. He did have a really good game in the limited time. If he were to start, he could maybe be viable. But yeah, I think that does it for Sacramento. Definitely a team that we're going to have to keep an eye on when it comes to injuries, because there's a couple questionable guys here that do impact a lot. But moving on to the Bulls side. So with the Bulls, we basically know the injury news here. Lauri Markkanen, Otto Porter should remain out for this game, I believe. Markkanen's going to be out for at least a few more weeks, and I think pretty sure Porter's not really close to returning either. He's going to be out for the rest of pretty much till like the All-Star break. So with this Bulls team, I think there are some guys here that we can definitely target in tournaments. I don't think anyone from the Bulls stands out as an optimal top play. Like, I don't know if I'm getting to anyone in the Bulls if I'm only playing one lineup, but like Zach LaVine has a ton of upside here in this matchup against Sacramento. Sacramento, we know they play fast. They don't play defense. We saw Zach LaVine have a solid game Friday night against the Sixers, 38 minutes, 48 DK points. That was a tougher matchup. Obviously, this is a much better matchup. I do have interest in LaVine as a contrarian payout option. I think the upside is definitely there for him in this fast-paced game. Kobe White, Thaddeus Young, I don't have that much interest in those guys at their price tags. Wendell Carter, he started out really hot Friday night in that game against Philly, and then he really cooled off. I think he had 13 DK points in the first 8 or 9 minutes, and then he really didn't do much the rest of the game. But he did get 25 minutes, which was good to see at least. I'd assume today, as long as Wendell Carter's good to go, it is a back-to-back, so that's something to monitor. But as long as he's good to go, he probably gets close to 30 minutes. 5,100 could definitely be viable as a contrarian option, a lower-owned guy to target. But these secondary pieces from the Bulls, I don't have that much interest in, like Patrick Williams, Denzel Valentine, Garrett Temple. Just don't know if I really want to go to these guys. I know Temple had a decent game, 25 TK points in 33 minutes, but he's just not a great point per minute player. Denzel Valentine, his minutes have been way down. He only got 16 on Friday. I don't even know what Patrick Williams did. I don't think he had that great of a game. 13 DK points in 31 minutes. I think for me, when it comes to the Bulls, it's really Zach LaVine, Wendell Carter, assuming he's not limited, and assuming he's good to go. And really, that's about it for the Bulls today. Even in a really good matchup, I don't think the Bulls are as appealing of a team, just given the pricing. But we can go ahead and move on to the next game. So the Suns and the Grizzlies. This is another one that I do have a good amount of interest in. So with the Suns, definitely have interest in Chris Paul here at 7,800. He had a huge game on Friday night against the Pelicans. Went off for 56 DK points, had 15 points, 4 rebounds, 19 assists, 1 block, and 2 steals. Chris Paul has just been playing so well lately. He's given you at least 47 DK points in 3 of their last 4 games. The price tag is still pretty reasonable at 7,800. I do like him more than Devin Booker just because we've seen the peripherals are a lot higher for Chris Paul. Chris Paul can go out there and triple-double any night, whereas Devin Booker, he's kind of become scoring dependent at this point. He's not really contributing much with rebounds or assists. He needs to score probably 30-plus real-life points to really get you there, and even if he does, we saw against, even against Philly, he had 36 real-life points, had 48 DK points, which is obviously solid, but still, that's you don't really need him at his price tag. I'm looking for close to 50 from Booker. And with Chris Paul in the lineup, I just don't know if Booker's upside is that high. He had some big games when Chris Paul was out, but when he's playing alongside Chris Paul, the upside is definitely a lot lower on Booker. So I would definitely rather go to Paul over Booker today, and I think Paul does look like a very good option. 7,800 on DK. Definitely like him quite a bit at that price tag. And on Yahoo, I think he's too cheap as well over there, coming in at $30. I really like Chris Paul on both sides today. We're going to talk about John Morant later. I think Morant's a good play too, but I think I give the edge to Paul over Morant. This is a back-to-back though for the Suns, so keep an eye on that. I'd assume Paul will be good to go, but yeah, just keep an eye on it since it is a back-to-back. But DeAndre Ayton I do like quite a bit as well. At 6,800, I think DeAndre Ayton is just too cheap here. The minutes have been there lately. The production for DeAndre Ayton, it's been all over the place this year. He's had some good games. He's had some really bad games, but it's good to see him play in 35 minutes. He's played 35 minutes in 2 straight games, had 41 DK points Friday night, had a big double-double. Like, Ayton is pretty much, if he's playing 30-plus minutes, he's basically going to give you a double-double. It's just, can he give you more peripherals? Can he get you some blocks? Can he get you some assists? If he can have like a 15 and 15 type game like he did Friday night, like he definitely has the potential to give you 40-plus DK points and pay off the $6,800 salary. They're going to need his size out there against J-Val. He should get over 30 minutes once again. I think Ayton does look like one of the better center plays today. I think he is a little bit too cheap on both sides. 6,800 on DK, $24 on Yahoo. I like him quite a bit on Yahoo as well. He's way too cheap over there, but I think that basically does it for the Suns for me. Really, Paul and Ayton are the 2 guys I like most from this team. Moving on to Memphis, though, and looking at the Grizzlies. So when it comes to the Grizzlies, I like the 2 guys at the top. Ja Morant, Joe Val, I think, are both really good plays once again. I had a lot of interest in both those guys on Friday night. Morant had a solid game. He wasn't great, but did have a solid game, 39 DK points in 32 minutes. I think he might have lost some minutes to blowout. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, Morant's back to getting 34, 35 minutes. That's what he should play today as long as the game stays close. Phoenix, they're a good defensive team. They play really slow, but I still like the upside that Ja Morant has on a nightly basis, especially now that he's getting his normal minutes, which was a concern at first when they came back from COVID protocols, but it shouldn't be a concern anymore. The minutes should be they should be up for Ja Morant. So I like him at 7,700. I think I do give the edge to Chris Paul over Morant at this point, but Morant is definitely in play for sure. J-Val as well at 7,200 you could look to. We know what we're going to get from J-Val on a nightly basis. Very similar to DeAndre Ayton. He can give you a big double-double, can get you some blocks as well. He's probably not going to play as many minutes as Ayton, so I think that's why I prefer Ayton over him. But at 7,200, J-Val definitely someone you could look to in that mid-range at center. But the only guy that I would also consider besides those top 2 options would probably be Grayson Allen. Like, Grayson Allen's just been playing really well lately. He's been getting the minutes. He didn't have that great of a game Friday night against Detroit, but he did play 30 minutes once again. He's been getting about 30-plus minutes basically every night. Dillon Brooks was out Friday. I don't know yet if Dillon Brooks is going to play today. If he were to be out again, that would just make me feel even better about Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen is really cheap on Yahoo, so I think I like him a lot more there. He's only $11. If you need a cheap shooting guard, I think Grayson Allen looks like a really good option, but yeah, I do have some interest in him, especially if Dillon Brooks remains out. Desmond Bane, he got 25 minutes off the bench with Dillon Brooks out. He could maybe be viable if Brooks sits again. DeAnthony Melton, he played 17 minutes off the bench. Probably don't want to go to him, but Bane would definitely be viable if Brooks is out again. And if Brooks were to sit, that would make me feel a little bit better about Ja Morant because Morant gets a big bump in usage when Brooks is off the floor. He's gotten like a 6 or 7% bump in his usage rate without Brooks, so I would have some interest in him as well. Brandon Clark, he did start in place of Brooks. He had a decent game. You could maybe go to Brandon Clark. He'd probably start again. He got 34 minutes, so he'd probably get around the same amount of minutes today. But yeah, I think in terms of top plays from the Grizzlies, it's definitely Morant, Valanciunas, and Grayson Allen. I do like a good amount on Yahoo. $11 on Yahoo, so I think it's a really good price for Grayson Allen. But yeah, we can go ahead and move on to the last game of the night. The Wizards and the Blazers. So this is another very appealing game. 2 very fast-paced teams. 2 teams that don't play a ton of defense. On Washington, for me, it's really just the top 2 guys. It's Westbrook and Beal, and I don't have much interest in really anyone else. Westbrook and Beal are pretty closely priced, only $100 difference. I think if I had to choose one, normally Westbrook's the guy I prefer just because he can contribute with peripherals. He can give you triple-double upside, whereas Beal's a little bit more scoring dependent. But I think both guys have a ton of upside in this matchup. On a shorter slate like this with only 5 games, I wouldn't mind playing both of them together in the same lineup. But I think if I had to choose one, I would prefer to go to Westbrook today at 10K. I do have a good amount of interest in him as a pay-up option, him and Beal really. The center rotation is going to be one to keep an eye on. So Mo Wagner started last game when they played the Nuggets, but he only played 3 minutes. They went with Alex Len a lot. I think Alex Len got 18 minutes, and then Robin Lopez, he played, let me see how many minutes Lopez played. Lopez played 27. Like, they could definitely change up their starting lineup once again and start Alex Len at center. They could start Robin Lopez at center. I think whichever guy does start at center is a solid value option. Wagner's only $4K, Len's only $3,900, Lopez only $3,500. If one of them should start, I don't know which one it's going to be at this point, but whichever one does start, I think is a decent value play because they're going to need some size out there against Enes Kanter. We know Kanter's going to be out there for 32 to 34 minutes, so I would like whichever Washington big winds up getting the start at center, but top place from Washington is definitely just Westbrook and Beal. Those are the two guys I do have the most confidence in. Don't really have much interest in any of the secondary pieces from the Wizards today. But moving on to the Portland side. So Portland, for me, a team I like quite a bit today, but it's really just a couple of guys. I think Damian Lillard, he's probably my favorite pay-up option on the slate right now. You know, it's tough because there isn't a ton of value that stands out. Like, I think this is definitely a slate where we're going to be looking to the mid-range. There's a lot of good mid-range plays I like today. But if you can get up to Lillard, I think if I'm going to anyone above 10K, it's going to be Damian Lillard. We know the numbers are just through the roof without CJ McCollum. The usage is going to be through the roof. He's just a way more productive player. He's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. It's a fantastic matchup, a bad Wizards defense, a fast-paced Wizards team. Like, you could not ask for a better spot for Damian Lillard. So he's my favorite guy above 10K. Enes Kanter, I think, is another very solid mid-range center option. Like, you can group him in there with Ayton, J-Val, those guys. Like, I think all those guys look like really good options in the mid-range. I think Ayton's my favorite, but Kanter definitely has upside here against this Wizards team. The Wizards, just like I said, bad defensive team. They've always been bad against centers as well, defending the center position. Like, they don't really have any good defensive centers. Like, none of their three centers are good defensively. So definitely a good spot for Kanter. But like Robert Covington at his price tag, I don't really have that much interest in. Same with Gary Trent. Same with like all the other secondary pieces. So really, it's just Lillard and Kanter for me from the Blazers, and not much interest in anyone else. But yeah, guys, I think that does it for all 5 games today. I think we broke everything down team by team. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. As always, I do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, just hit that like button down below before you do get out of here. Hit that subscribe button as well. Be sure to click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also get notified every time I do go live, and I most likely will be live streaming this afternoon, probably around 5 Eastern time. So if you're able to tune into the stream, I can answer all your questions. We can break everything down. We can talk through tonight's slate, hit on any news that comes out throughout the day. So yeah, check out the live stream on my YouTube channel around 5 Eastern Saturday afternoon. Best of luck tonight, guys. Hit the like button before you do get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. And yeah, good luck tonight, guys. Appreciate you watching. Peace.